Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, there's no other way to describe it. It's a do or die Saturday in the LBK.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet only $5. And if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you. And on today's episode, we're going to get to an opposing point of view. We'll take a listen to some thoughts from BYU head coach Kalani Sitake coming up in just a moment on a perspective on the Red Raiders through Cougar eyes. Also, his relationship and some background, not only with Mike Leach, but a previous Texas Tech head coach. But want to kick off the conversation today looking ahead to this ball game and the stakes surrounding it. And this now in light of the initial college football playoff rankings being out there for us to all digest. Hope you took in our initial reaction to that on a separate episode on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts now if you have not seen it. But Chris, you and I began to talk, I think, in a little bit of a different way, possibly about Big 12 at-large interests following this revealing, and we'll get to that component as well. But when it comes down to Texas Tech, obviously we've got Arlington aspirations, conference title aspirations, and not leaving a whole lot to chance. So with that in mind, we're still looking ahead to this weekend, however, in the regular season, the way it finishes. This weekend is maybe one of the final significant resume-building type of opportunities. You're going to be expected to really perform in your final couple of weeks, but am I wrong to suggest that this really is the last significant chance to make a big impression nationally with the resume?
Yeah, so there's a variety of ways to look at this stuff, and obviously the rankings add another dynamic to this equation or this conversation, because I think that everybody around and covering the Big 12 felt pretty good about that initial set, but it doesn't really mean anything. They get you feeling good about it, and then we already know, heck, a week into this deal, like next week's are going to look vastly different simply because the two teams that were highest in the Big 12 are going to play each other. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and that will alter these rankings. But large in part, I think that they tip their cap to the Big 12 in comparison to the ACC. I think that's really what everybody was one of the aspects that people were focused on. I think Notre Dame's a bit of a national storyline, but and where they're ranked and all that, but they're always going to be that. But I just looked at it from the standpoint of, okay, let's just play this out a bit. This is the last opportunity that Texas Tech will have in the regular season for any kind of win that improves their resume. You already have been acknowledged as one of the top 8 teams in the country, okay? But to stay there, it's going to require a win over BYU. And if you were to not handle your business in Lubbock on Saturday morning, you just wonder what then. But then the problem becomes you can't do a lot about it at that point, because a win over UCF and a win over West Virginia is just not – it's not –
All due respect.
I know, and it's just not going to do much for you. And you're also going to need some help and some results, and it's not in your control anymore in trying to get to Arlington to get another opportunity to either win it or have another resume opportunity there, right? But that's where we're stating the obvious that this is a massive game. But I think if you're looking for access or a path to the playoff specifically, I just don't know if it's really there realistically without a win this weekend. BYU can survive a win this weekend and still make it to Arlington and still maybe as an at-large, okay? They've got some games against TCU and then specifically a game against Cincinnati at Cincinnati. That is, if they were to win those are beneficial. I just don't know with what you have left. That's why this is a big one. And then the fact that you have this game at home and are a favorite, all that factors in. It just it really points to, I hate, I don't want to say must win because or what, and we don't really know the or what. But if you want to get to Arlington, again, how do you do that without beating BYU on Saturday? Going to be really tough because you're going to have to be a fan of Cincinnati. Utah is looming around, and then you start entering in a whole bunch of tiebreaker scenarios. And I still think BYU is even if you beat them this weekend, they would control their own destiny, and they just have to win out. And anyway, you see what I'm saying? It just becomes a jumbled mess. Trying to get to the playoff is going to require you to get to Arlington. And I don't know if you can get to Arlington without a win over BYU. So that's how this looks, regardless of how they made you feel about the league as a whole, regardless of that you're a top 8 team. It just really, really points to this. And this is all the opportunity you could have asked for. It is right here. It's in your stadium. It is maybe the only thing you would change is Skylar Gill-Howard being healthy, Will Hammond being healthy, Quentin Joyner being healthy, and it kicking off at 7 o'clock instead of 11 a.m. Short of that, you've gotten everything you've signed up for. You have played your way into this opportunity, and here it is. And now you have to go make the most of it. That's just the harsh reality of the situation, but that's what makes this weekend so much fun. And I know Joey wouldn't have it any other way. This is what you signed up for, and this is what they wanted, and this is what they've talked about. They control their own destiny. You get this done, and then handle your business the rest of the way. You are in as far as the Big 12 title game, and then you've got to go take care of your business there. But I just don't know if I see a very clear path at all without a win over BYU on Saturday.
Yeah, so it sounds like you can have some conflicting feeling about the Big 12 at large interests on the other side of this initial reveal. But if you're a Texas Tech fan specifically, that may not necessarily include you as the candidate most likely to be on the receiving end of it.
Right.
Those are both true, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, because if the records are equal and the resumes are similar, are they really going to put Utah in over Texas Tech or BYU? Even though you had head-to-head victories. But see, here's the problem you get into. It's not really about that. It's these teams, at-large teams, are all compared against each other. It's not about Big 12 and, we got to get multiple – no, it has nothing to do with that. So then you start dealing and open up all kinds of other things. So I think if you're playing the at-large game, and we were just talking about it for purposes of conversation because the goal is still here to win.
Sure.
On Saturday and all that, but everybody's been asking about the rankings and how the Big 12 should be feeling good about it. But it may be fool's gold. It may not really matter. This is week 1 of the first of 6 weekly rankings, and this one is the least meaningful one, but it does give you some context. But as we're talking about Texas Tech, this is the game in front of you that I just think you got to put that on the old team sheet and then because of tiebreakers, because of the standings, because of resume, for all the stuff, and then you let everybody else worry about all the other stuff. But I just don't know if I see a clear path at all or a path in general if you don't get this one done. I'm sure one exists. Huh?
Do or die. That would only take about 5 seconds, so we have to talk it out a little bit further. Do or die is the gist, I think, probably understood by all. All right, I do want to begin to look Provo way and take a listen to BYU's head coach, Kalani Sitake. First, today's episode brought to you by SupplyHouse. And when the whistle blows on a new repair, you can get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. SupplyHouse's real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting any projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Needing parts fast for a project? SupplyHouse has next-day delivery, and that's a game changer. And their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make any process smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. And visit SupplyHouse.com to sign up for free and use our promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's SHCollege5 at SupplyHouse.com for 5% off your first order. Real people, real service at SupplyHouse.com. Take a listen to BYU's head coach, Kalani Sitake, on a couple of different things we'll get to in just a moment. The way he sees the Red Raiders through his own perspective, which I always think is kind of interesting, Chris, to hear from an opponent, how they view what we've been following all along. But first, wanted to take a listen to him talking about his relationship with Joey McGuire and his, I guess, in general view over time of Texas Tech, given some connection as well to the late, great Mike Leach. Here's Coach Sitake.
Looking forward to the game overall, just the energy and the excitement around it. So we're excited for our role in it and looking forward to the matchup. I can say that Joey McGuire is a really good friend of mine. I've spent many meetings and dinners with him, hanging out and picking his brain, and he's a great builder of culture and character. You talk to a lot of BYU fans, and myself, I'm a fan too. We've always had a connection to Texas Tech because of Coach Leach, and so always found ourselves cheering for them and their success, especially with what he's been able to do there for so many years. And then now seeing how it all works out and that they have a great man at the head of their program with Joey McGuire, and seeing the things that he's been able to accomplish in his coaching career. They have a great staff, a lot of people that we know on their coaching staff, and a lot of great players that obviously have built, that they've bought into and have built around that culture that Coach McGuire set there. And it's not a coincidence or a chance that they're successful. So looking forward to the matchup and getting ready to make sure that we're at our best so we can give it a shot.
How rude and inappropriate to be so kind and respectful. It really irritates me.
These are two men that are, look, they are from different places. They have different backgrounds and different playing careers and all the things. These are largely the same person, Joey and Kalani Sitake. In the industry, you're not going to find hardly anybody that has anything bad to say about Joey or Coach Sitake. It just that they are generally respected, appreciated, and admired, and they're both kind of open books. They're both got great personalities. And these are guys that are both very heavy into the culture aspect of this whole thing. Both of these programs happen to be well-resourced. I think they've used these resources. They've both dabbled into the portal and all the things. They both, I think, are big trench guys and want to play defense and run the football and all that. But these are, and I think that you're connected in more ways than people realize, in that it's not just the Mike Leach aspect, but for some of the things that I just talked about, I'll hammer down on the fact that I do think that these are two programs that have looked around the room a bit and felt like there's opportunity here for us to maintain our stead here at the top end of the standings, not just in football, but a lot of these teams and everything, because of the rules, because of opportunity of certain schools not being in this league anymore and all that. And I think that, both schools and the alignment is there at both places. But I think that, Coach Sitake is, Joey's talked about Coach Sitake to me for years. I think they go way back, and you obviously hear what Coach Sitake says about Joey McGuire. So we're not, obviously both guys are going to try to beat the other one on Saturday. Okay. And Coach Sitake got that done against Coach McGuire a couple years ago in Provo. That was the Jake Strong game when you kept fumbling on the goal line, one coming out, one going in, and wasn't bouncing right. You kind of hung in there for a little bit, but it just was a maddening night. But Obviously, there's a lot on the line in this one, but there really is true mutual admiration between these two head coaches, and maybe people want a reason to be mad or angry or want to hate the other guy, but that's just that's not the reality between these two head coaches and those kinds of things. And like I said, it goes way, way back.
His name is prominent for good reason, has a great team, and has had a good run during his tenure. Whenever it comes to some vacancies, is he just too dyed in the wool, you think, to ever be considering a move like that?
I think it would. I mean, I think it's a credit to him that I think it would be a heck of a hire by somebody if they could do that. I just don't know. I think you start looking around, Cowan, it like what used to be a good job, what is one now. And I mean, again, he's 19-2. He's in the Power Four. He's got access to the playoff. He's well resourced. I think he loves the situation he's in. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what he gets paid, but I don't know why I'd mess with that. I mean, because are you maybe referring to the Arkansas stuff and
that among others? I just see his name often, and I get it for good reason.
And it makes sense. I mean, he just wins, and I think his style of football would play well in other parts of the country too, because they just figure it out, man. And it's the man that makes a lot of it work. Just kind of like what I think that so much of what Joey has done here, you get the portal part or the money part or but it's hard to like be a connector and bring all these people together and get them to care about each other, and all the stuff going on in June and back in April, and the little leadership committees, or hey, let's do this with having people over I mean, all the things that lead to kind of having a real culture and recruiting and transferring, portaling or whatever with certain traits and characteristics and all that. But it's a credit to Sataki, honestly, is just because of what but if I was him, I don't know what makes him tick, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I don't know if I would really entertain much there. And granted, I think a couple of years ago, there was some, they were kind of middling, if you will, and all that, and now he's kind of got it turned around. So I don't know what the lay of the land there is near as much as obviously what it would be in Lubbock, Texas, but you could do a lot worse than Kalani Sitake if you're trying to go make a hire, and he may, in fact, like a lot of these folks, I think we're talking about two head coaches here that will more than likely get raises or extensions or whatever that looks like because of the chaos out there, and probably deservedly so.
Yep. All right, before we call her good, let's take another listen to Coach Sitake talking Red Raiders through Cougar eyes. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered, and it's quick, easy, and secure every time. Ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's take another listen to Coach Sitake talking Red Raiders through Cougar eyes, what they've seen from afar from Tech so far.
They're opportunistic, and they can hurt you in such a short amount of time. So that's always dangerous. And then you could think it's going one way, and then they could just, next thing you know, in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes, they could really take over. So that's going to be difficult because they do that pretty easily, it seems like, with teams when they play. But I like the matchup, man. I think it's going to be great for us. We see it on film. We've been seeing it for over a week already. We saw it all last week. We've been prepping for it, and this is it's easier said than done because a lot of teams have tried to do that, and not very many teams can put them on their heels. They're a complete team. They can do a lot of different things, and they're very deep. And so you look at the talent, not a lot of drop-off from 1 to 2, and that's in every position. And then they're well coached. I mean, you look at all the things. You have to be on top of your game because they can do it in 3 phases, and they play great complementary football. And so we like to try to do the same things as well. And so there's a lot of things that we see that they do really, really well that we try to emulate ourselves. And so, we're hopeful that we can get the work done, but hope is not a great strategy. We got to actually get to work and put in some time. We did it last week. Felt great about that and the progress we've made. And now I got to see if I can do my job as a head coach and make sure that we're ready to roll by the time we get there Saturday.
Chris, I don't even really know that we've mentioned it. Certainly hadn't discussed it to any great length this week, but there is an open weekend component to this matchup. Also, some extra prep time, advantage, disadvantage. I don't know. It's sort of case by case, but some of that playing out as well.
Yeah. The old. First of all, I love the saying "hope is not a strategy." I use that. I file that in my back pocket all the time because we always say hope is alive or keep hope alive and all that stuff. But the old bye week that you're talking about here, I think you can play that a variety of different ways. I think that is very intriguing to me. That's probably not something that a lot of people have talked about. I think that the one thing it's allowed them to heal. Jack Kelly and LJ Martin and some others, I think, are probably in a better spot now than they would have been, say, a week ago if they would have had to have played after that Iowa State game. But there just is, or can be, a rust component, timing component. But you could play this a million different ways. They've had plenty of more time to study, to learn what you do, how you do it, prepare their guy. I mean, all the stuff. But they're going to get, they're going to be in a loud environment and coming off of a bye. So I don't know. I mean, I think you could buy into whatever theory you wanted, but I think that is certainly something to monitor. But as he said, we won the bye week. For anyone that was curious, anyone that's asking, we won the bye, and that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah. I'm hoping that they come out wiping a little sleep out of their eyes and whatnot. And it's always just dependent upon, I guess, the team. And this is one that you would have to imagine could probably handle whatever pretty well. And yeah, as you're talking about getting healthier at this point in the season, man, that could be invaluable for a team, especially coming into a matchup like this that we know is going to be ultra physical. But he's certainly describing what we've seen play out. And the part that stood out to me was just talking about how Texas Tech has had a knack. And we discussed it a little bit earlier this week, specifically related to the fourth quarter, but a knack for at some point kind of hitting overdrive. And then all of a sudden it's a couple possessions between them and the opponent, and they're stretching their legs down the stretch. Would love to see that trend continue.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of like when you go on a 10 or 12-0 run in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I inevitably when you do these non-conference games for Texas Tech hoops and these teams that are undermanned or undersized or whatever, they may hang for a bit, but then there's just this one point in the game where the dam breaks and you look up and it's a 17-1 run, and then the game's over at that point, and there's just no hope to come back or to hang or whatever. It's just like you missed a few shots, they ran out, they hit threes, the crowd's going nuts at the end. And this is kind of what I used to hear an analyst call it for football, like he'd call it spurtability. Like they just go on these quick spurts, and like if you put a couple of scores together, and now when you have the kind of defense that you have, if you can do that, you really squeeze an opponent, especially when you're playing a possession game or a limited possession game, and then it's like bang, bang, and then you look up and go, the dynamic is completely different than it was 7 minutes ago. And we have seen this repeatedly. I mean, even in your one loss,
mm-hmm.
It was only close because of your ability to do what we were just talking about. We saw it in Manhattan. We saw it in Salt Lake City. It's been pretty fascinating. The one that was weird was the Houston game. That was just kind of this steady grind, if you will, where you just kind of slowly pulled away, and you really couldn't pull away as quickly as you wanted to because you were having to settle for field goals and all that. But even at the beginning of the second half, you put a few scores up to where, okay, Houston's going to have a really hard time getting back into it because you've created some distance. And that will be big in this one. And if you can do that, BYU may have to do things that they don't want to do or have to rely on. I don't know, because I think they're really built I mean, it gets the epitome of balance. We talked about this 216 and 216. This is what they're offering up to you as far as the way that they get their offensive yardage done. And if you take their ability to kind of run game away, and then you get up on them, and it turns into a drop back game, and you get your pass rushers involved in all those things. I mean, I would say that certainly benefits you, but you have to have a lead to be able to do that. And BYU just figures out a way. They just kind of hang around and figure it out, and they're going to take some chances. I hope people understand that. They're going to take some chances, whether it's a gadget on the special teams or whether this is just they kind of have this belief, and hey, man, it may not look good, or we don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll figure it out. This is just kind of what they do, and I think Joey and them will need to be ready for that and maybe take some chances on their own if the situation presents itself.
To me, one key difference I really think that's aided Texas Tech in maybe pulling away late or being able to all of a sudden flip a one-possession game into two or more has to do with their pair of ball carriers specifically. And I know that last week it was the defense that was providing some of that flex there at the end to kind of get that separation and run away with it. But, Chris, I think maybe a year ago when you're trying to close out some games with your ground game, as everybody in America would want to do, you didn't quite have that home run capability with it. So Taj Brooks would keep chopping wood and chopping wood and chopping wood, but it would never really turn into that buzzsaw. Whereas now you keep kind of chopping that wood, and certainly Jacoby Williams, and I'm a believer Cameron Dickey as well, are capable of all of a sudden breaking off a big play. And then it's kind of like the boulders rolling downhill. So just one little key difference. And certainly as much as I love Taj, we all know that was not necessarily a component of his game. And you wanted to get more explosive in all areas. But I think the running backs, really, if I had to drill down to kind of one thing, offensively at least, have been a spark late, big play-wise, that kind of has been missing for a little while.
It's a different dynamic, certainly. You mentioned Taj Brooks. He'll be in the stadium on Saturday as well, and welcomed sight, and he can see what his young bucks have been doing up close and personal. I don't disagree with your premise in that we talked about how much easier it is when you are explosive and when you've got guys that can flip the field or make something of nothing. And I just what Coach Sataki was talking about a bit ago, and we've kind of known this, but you really just have so many different guys that can do this. Your two outside guys, you've got a tight end, either running back. I mean, so nobody has to carry the load like Taj did last year. And even Josh Kelly last year, he was more of a possession type as opposed to like a game breaker. He was clutch and he was third down, but not a ton after the play or after the catch, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think the way your scheme is and all that, you're going down the field to Reggie Virgil and Douglas and all those things. And I think you've had some special teams mixed into this explosiveness too. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Perry will tell you, and he said as much to the media, this is the best special teams group collectively that we have faced all year. They make plays. They don't screw a lot up. They use a lot of their starters on special teams. We have our hands full this weekend. They've got a good kicker. I mean, so there's that phase too. But because you've been able to make some hay with some returns and a block and, a 55-yard field goal. I mean, so you've been really good there a bit too. So it'll be interesting to see kind of who wins that phase, or is it just like tie? Because right now, if you just told me, hey, you'll tie that phase of the game, I'd probably be okay with it, because I bet BYU will be intentional about coming in and trying to win it, and I bet they press the issue at some point in this game with something that's unscripted, whether it's a fake of some sort or whatever. You can just kind of sense that is coming, and they may feel like they need to do that. I don't know. I just have watched them too much to know that they'll feel more than comfortable about calling something and live with the results. But this is just what they do, man, and you better be ready for it.
Keep your head on a swivel.
Yes.
Nothing new. Remain as is. Stay ready. I think for the offense specifically, as I recall some of our conversations in fall camp, we had optimism about the explosiveness, but we wondered about, can they be physical enough when they really need to? And for the most part, you've been punching back, and I think you have been close to it or physical enough. most often when you did need to, but we may say your biggest test in that specific regard is coming up Saturday morning. So can't wait to find out how that goes, Chris. And we got another round here. We'll dive into the mailbag before we wrap up the week and get on to game day. So looking forward to it. Appreciate the time as always, and we'll see you for the next one.
Yeah, trench work, man. Both of these coaches preach the same stuff, and that's why I think you're probably like going, golly, I really want to hate this Sataki guy, but I just can't. He's a good dude. He likes all the same stuff I like, right? But yeah, it'll be a war inside on both lines of scrimmage on Saturday, and I think Joey is ready for that. We'll have his guys ready for that. This is what you built your team for a game like this. But it sure is nice to have some of those explosive playmakers as well. So anyway, but yeah, we'll I hope everybody's enjoying the week, man. Red Raiders are 1-0 on the hardwood, and we got another game coming up and mailbag time and a huge visit list as it relates to recruiting this weekend as well. Like just nuts. I had somebody text me, this is like what I'm guessing like the Blue Bloods have it like on a weekend, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you want to look at stars and rankings and all that stuff, so yeah, head on a swivel times 10, and every coach on campus is like, what a glorious environment we have to recruit to this weekend for whatever sport you're coaching for, and they will try to take full advantage of it. So, I mean, seriously, this is what you dream of, man. I mean, if you can have people come in to be a part of a game like this, man, you just don't know when you're going to get another one. But here it is, man, and we are just hours and a few days away.
Yeah, it's a Texas Tech open house all week and all weekend with the biggest cameras in the country coming along to document it all. So no big deal. Looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Did you ever get dragged to an open house before? Have you ever done that? I know you used to be
I've held many open houses, and my favorite ones were when no one showed up. I could just kick
it. and you don't know what were the tricks that you would use to? Did you have food? Did you light the candle? Like what would you do?
Here's a little bonus advice for you. Nothing works. Just lower the price. You don't have to overthink anything. You want to repaint a room. You want new carpet. You want me to get a sausage tray. Lower the price. Sell the house. It's just all about money. It's all it's ever about. Chris, appreciate you and appreciate everybody for being out there. Shout out to the everydayers and, of course, the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. If you're interested in joining that crew, that's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. Otherwise, get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss a thing. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.